Learn to say no. Most of you don't have a discipline problem. You just don't know how to say no, and it shows up in really normal ways. Someone asks you to do something you don't really want to do. Hang out, go somewhere, stay longer than you planned, and instead of just saying no like you want to, you hesitate for a second, and then you say yes anyway. Not because you want to, but because it's easier. You don't want to make it awkward. You don't want to start a fuss. You don't want to be the one person who says no. You don't want to look weird in front of other people. So you just go along with it. And in the moment, it feels small. But that habit is way bigger than it looks. Because every time you say yes when you mean no, you're training yourself to ignore your own decisions. And the worst part is, it doesn't even feel like a big decision when you do it. You're not thinking that you could ruin your entire day. It's just, yeah, sure, alright, why not, I suppose. That's how it happens. And then later, you look back and realize your whole day went in a direction you didn't even choose. I've had days where I planned to actually get something done. Like I knew I had to record a video. Everything was there, the idea was there, the time was there. And then one small thing threw me off. Someone messaged me, something came up. I said yes to something random, and suddenly I'm not in control of the day anymore. Now I'm reacting instead of deciding. Now I'm just going along with whatever is happening. And once that happens, it's really hard to get back on track. That's the part people underestimate. Saying yes once is not a big problem, it's what it leads to. Because now your focus is gone, your plan is gone, your momentum is gone, and you don't even feel like starting anymore. So you tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow. And now that one yes turned into a wasted day. You're telling yourself, what I want doesn't really matter. And if you do that enough times, you stop taking yourself seriously. I've done this before. There were times where I already knew I shouldn't go somewhere. Not because it was something crazy, just because I knew it was a waste of time. But I still went. And the whole time I was there, I was thinking, why did I even come here? And that feeling is the worst. Because you knew before you said yes. Because you knew before you said yes. You just didn't listen to it. And that's the problem. People think saying no is rude. It's not. Saying yes when you don't mean it is much worse. Because now you're fake with other people and weak with yourself all at the same time. And it doesn't stay small. It starts with simple stuff. Then it turns into bigger situations. You're around people doing something you're not fully comfortable with. Maybe it's just dumb, maybe it's risky, maybe it's just not for you. But everyone else is there. Everyone else is going along with it. And now saying no feels much harder. Because it's not just one person anymore, it's a group. And you don't want to be the one person who steps out. So again, you say yes. And now you're somewhere where you never wanted to be. Doing something you never really agreed with. And all because you were scared of one word, no. And people underestimate how far this can go. Not everything ends badly, but enough situations do. Where someone knew they shouldn't be there, they knew it didn't feel right, but still went along with it. Because fitting in felt easier than speaking up. And even outside of that, this shows up everywhere. You say yes to a distraction, yes to wasting your time, yes to things that pull you away from what you actually care about. And then you sit there, wondering why nothing is changing, why you feel behind, why you don't respect yourself, why you can't stay consistent. It's because you keep saying yes to the wrong things, and no to the right ones. And here comes the part that really messes you up over time. If you keep saying yes to everything, you stop building anything, because nothing in your life gets protected. You might say you want to build something, a channel, some way to make money, a skill, literally anything, but every time something random comes up, you drop it. Not because you had to, but because you didn't say no. And that sounds small, but it kills progress. Because building anything real needs time, focused time, uninterrupted time, time when you're actually locked in. And if you're always available, if you're always saying yes, if you're always going along with whatever shows up, you never get that. So you end up in this loop where you keep starting things, but nothing ever grows. I've had this happen with videos too. I had finally sat down to record, like actually ready to do it, and then something small interrupts me. And instead of just saying no and continuing, I'd leave it. And once you leave, it's done. You don't come back with the same focus. You don't come back with the same energy. Now it feels much heavier. And most of the time, you don't even restart. That's how things die. Not because you couldn't do them, but because you didn't protect them. And that's what saying no actually is. It's protecting. not just from other people, but from your own life. Because if you don't protect your time, someone else will take it, someone else will fill it, and usually not with something that moves you forward. So you end up busy, but going nowhere. And the reason is really simple. You're giving your time away too easily. That's the pattern. You don't need more motivation. You need boundaries. You need to be able to look at something and say, no, I'm not doing that. Even if it's awkward, even if people look at you weird for a second, even if you feel out of place. Because that moment passes, but the habit of folding stays. And people can feel it. Not in some big obvious way, but in how you move. If you always go along with things, if you never push back, if you always adjust yourself to fit the situation, people start treating you like someone who will. They ask more from you, they expect more from you, they take more of your time. Not because they're evil, but because you showed them they can. And this is where it actually matters. If you can't say no, you don't control your life. Other people do. Whatever is easiest in the moment does. And that's how people drift. They don't choose a bad life, they slowly allow one. By never pushing back, by never deciding for themselves, by always going along with whatever is in front of them. So learn to say no, not in some aggressive way. You don't have to be rude, not to prove anything, just honestly. When something feels off, you say no. When something is wasting your time, you say no. When something pulls you away from what you actually want to do, say no. And yeah, sometimes it will feel awkward, but that's part of it. Because saying no is not comfortable at first, but neither is realizing you've been living your life based on what other people want. That's much worse. And once you start doing it, once you start saying no when you actually mean it, something changes. You start trusting yourself more, because now your actions match what you think. And that builds something people don't talk about enough. Self-respect. Not from what you say, but from what you actually do. And that's what separates people who get pulled into every direction from people who actually choose where they're going. And the truth is, if you really think about it, your whole life is shaped by what you say yes to. Every decision you go in, every situation you end up in, every person you spend time around, it all comes back to that. Not some big decision, just small moments where you either stood your ground or you folded. And most people don't realize that until it's too late. They look back and wonder how they ended up where they are. But if you really break it down, it's just a long chain of yeses. Yes to things they didn't believe in. Yes to things they didn't want. Yes to things they knew weren't right for them. And after enough of those, you don't even recognize the life you're living anymore. So learning to say no is not some small skill. It's one of the few things that actually decides where your life goes. Because every time you say no to something that doesn't matter, you're making space for something that does. And every time you don't, you're slowly giving your life away without even noticing.